Here is how a Christian entrepreneur like you can become an effective leader in your church. Entrepreneurs can often be some of the best leaders among us, especially those who also have a desire to make some type of eternal difference. But too often, good leaders can remain stuck, underutilized, and become more like spectators at church, even though they have so much to offer. But what are those bad leadership habits that can make men feel stuck? But what unique advantages and qualities do Christian businessmen have to offer? In this video, I'm going to give you 4 simple steps that any business leader can use to become an effective leader in their church, even if you only feel like a spectator right now. Hi, my name is George, and welcome to this channel where I help Christian, entrepreneurial, and ministry-minded men like yourself to lead a thriving and missional life. But before I jump into these 4 simple steps, one thing that I do want to make very clear is that these steps or these habits are applicable to you for any stage of leadership that you're in. Whether you're barely starting out serving and leading your church, or whether you've been doing it for years, these steps, I want you to think of how you could apply it to yourself. Now, in this book right here, it's called Building Leaders, the author points out this passage that was really interesting, and it was a really good point that he made about leadership and the different levels of leadership. And right here in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, St. Paul writes that, "And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others." And we see this. So we see a couple of different levels of leadership. Just from this passage, we see Paul, we see Timothy, reliable men, and teachable others. And we see that was this expectation of leading and serving in the early church, was that it had this trickle down effect, that it would just continue with, a leader who has multiple generations in mind as he's teaching, as he's leading. And so no matter the church you attend, no matter your church, no matter what size, big or small, no matter, again, if you're barely starting out in leading, you don't have to be the top leader to be a leader or to consider yourself leader. You could be those who are learning, and that is a level of leadership. It doesn't matter if it's a business organization or nonprofit. There's multiple levels. So no matter where you're at, apply this information to your context. Now, the first step or the first habit is to develop and maintain the right attitude. Or another way I like to say it is to stop thinking of yourself as a volunteer. Okay, imagine the scene. You have your favorite athlete, you're watching TV, you have your favorite sport that you're watching, and you're in there with the locker room, or the athletes are in there with the locker room. Before they even get onto the field, one of the first things they do is they get their mindset right. They get their right attitude. And you can see that a team that doesn't have a right attitude, or athlete that doesn't have a right attitude, when they walk into the field, it's just not going to work out good. So in order to become an effective leader, it's very similar. You have to approach serving, you have to approach leading with that right attitude. You have to approach the field of serving with the mental attitude of intentionality, just like an athlete. So the one thing I really want to maintain is, don't think of yourself like volunteer. Even if you're just doing the most basic, simple tasks to help, never think of yourself as a volunteer. Think of yourself still as a layer, as a level of leadership. Also, if you think of yourself as a volunteer, you will think about filling a need versus fulfilling a purpose. If you think that you're just there to volunteer, just whatever people need, instead of, no, you're actually there to fulfill something. You're actually there to fill a purpose that is meaningful. And another negative aspect of not having the right attitude is you're gonna burn out. It's gonna be hard for you to grow closer to God, because you're gonna be in a bad attitude, and you're gonna burn out, and you're gonna be done serving. You're not gonna feel inspired to give any more of your time. So the question is, how do you develop and maintain the right attitude? Well, first thing you want to do is you want to believe that you need to serve more than you are needed. Now, I know that could kind of sound silly, but realize that this is a need that God has put inside every human being, which is to help others, to serve, to think of others more often than ourselves. And in order to maintain the attitude, always approach serving and leading with the idea that you need this just as much, if not more, than whoever you are leading, whoever you're serving is. Number two, remember that greatness only comes as a result of serving. I don't need to quote the whole passage, but where Jesus talks about if you want to be the greatest of all, then you must become the servant. Become the servant of all, become the greatest servant. Number three is practice giving God thanks before, during, and after serving. Giving God thanks that you have an opportunity to serve. Thanking God as you're serving, and even afterwards, thanking God that you were able to lead to make a difference, even if it was a hard day, even if it was challenging. But in order to be effective as a leader inside of a nonprofit organization like a church, the right attitude will always be the right step, no matter what level of leadership that you grow to. Now, the second step on how to be an effective leader within your church is to find your sweet spot. Now, if you're like me and you grew up watching the Lakers when you're younger, you remember that Shaq, he had a sweet spot, but when he was placed at the free throw line, that was not a sweet spot. I was disappointed at times, but not shocked. And that's how it is for any type of leadership, but especially within your church. If you want to be a good leader and develop that good habit, find those places that would be your sweet spot. Once you approach the field with the right attitude, the next thing you do is you want to find out your God-given design and seek that right spot where you can make the best contribution. Now, the more you could avoid serving outside of your sweet spot, just like, the more Shaq could avoid not throwing free throws, the better. That'll actually give you more energy, more time, more excitement to become better and to focus on making an impact instead of just focusing on surviving or just kind of getting through the day. So here are 3 ways on how to find your sweet spot. Number 1 is just having that self-awareness of your strengths and weaknesses. There's tons of different assessments where you can do that. But intuitively, you know what you're good at. You know what you're weak at. You know what people tell you that you're good at. You know what people tell you that you're weak at. And then number 2, also be cautious of opportunities that are too self-serving. So be cautious of finding a spot that you want to serve in because you like it, or because it's something you enjoy. That's the area where you could end up being in a spot that you enjoy, that you're good at, but it could actually sometimes be a distraction from maybe the right thing, the thing that will actually make the most impact. And then thirdly is to pray for God's wisdom to be with your leaders and trust the process. Most of the time, if God were to give us the things that we want, it would typically not be good for us. And so even with finding the area to lead in, trust the process, don't force it. Don't make it happen. Sometimes God knows what he's doing, and he knows maybe he has put you in a position and you just know that it's for a reason. And so trust that process with it. Finding and owning your sweet spot is ultimately about giving back to God those blessings, skills, and desires that he has given you. Now, your third step on being an effective leader in your church is to own the vision. Okay, so back to our sports analogy, you got the right attitude, you know your sweet spot. Maybe, you know that it's time you're on the golf course and you're like, all right, I got a driver because I'm going to get this far. You pick the right club. But the next thing you need to do is you need to position, you need to have vision. You need to be able to focus in the right direction. It's like being able to stand up to the tee box with your driver and like not really know where the hole is. You're just going to hit it somewhere. That's not really an effective way to win the game. So the first thing, you want to own the vision of the team, of the ministry team, of the church, of your leaders. To be an effective leader, having that common vision is something that'll take you further and also keep you going longer, keep you serving. Now, here's the cost of not owning the vision is you're going to have wasted energy, wasted potential. You're not going to produce as good a fruit. You're busy and you don't, you want to use your gifts for God. You don't really want to waste it. You don't want to waste your time. You have a lot of priorities. And so finding the vision and owning it will help you avoid all that waste. But the rewards of owning the vision is you're going to have better decision-making as a leader, again, no matter which level that you're on, and you're going to have more long-term progress. Long-term progress is much more important than making big impacts in a shorter period of time. It's about the long game. Now, here's some ways practical tips on how to own the vision is you want to listen and pay attention to the leadership, right? Even if you guys don't have a clearly written down vision statement or paragraph or whatever, you could, off the top of your head, if you know your leaders, you could already know what's valuable to them, the goals that they want to hit in the next couple of years, the things, the changes or impacts they want to make in the community. Listen and pay attention to what the leadership is saying is the vision. Number two, if you can, attempt to verbally articulate it. Again, whether that's memorizing or knowing what the vision statement says, or just putting words to what you know is the heart of your leadership team at your church. But being able to articulate it means you can communicate it to other people, to communicate it to other people that you might be in charge of leading. And number three is identify how your time and effort play a part in the vision. So no matter what you serve at your church, no matter what it is, identifying how what you do plays a piece to the puzzle is part of owning the vision. It will keep you going longer. It'll actually make them a lot more enjoyable. It's kind of like in business when you think of your client's client, thinking about how the person that you impact and then the positive impact they have on the next person, how your impact on this department or this ministry has a bigger impact on your whole church as altogether. Having an awareness of your purpose gets you started, but owning the vision is what will keep you going. And your last step in becoming an effective leader is learning how to pull and win together. So the truth is that sharing a common vision with different teams and leaderships is one skill, but learning how to pull together with those individuals and with those teams is something that actually takes practice. So if you were to take two horses, maybe they could each pull, I'm just gonna make up a number, but let's say 5,000 pounds. If you put those horses together, they're gonna not just pull 10,000, they'll actually pull a little bit more. But when you train those horses to pull together as a team, they cannot just pull their weight plus some, but it's actually like they can almost pull twice of what they could pull. And there's references in the Bible that talk about the power of teamwork and the power of what one person could do compared to two people. So the step of being an important team player is actually something that is very important. So here's a couple practical ways on how to learn how to pull and win together. First thing is be strong where others are weak. Knowing where your strengths could help somebody is a huge part of that teamwork. Second thing is foresee the needs of others, individuals, and departments or ministries. Being able to foresee what your team is going to need and like help problem solve for other people is a big part of winning together. And lastly, support and promote other leaders. Use your influence to funnel people even into their ministries. Even when you meet somebody, don't just think of, oh, they'd be a great fit for my team, or, oh, no, they won't be. But also think about, hey, they'd be a great asset, a great fit for this person's team, for this ministry, this event, this department. Always seek to elevate everyone above yourself. That's the big part of winning and pulling together, is not seeking your benefit, but seeking the benefit of others. So you can have the vision, you can have the right attitude, you could also be leading as the right person in the right position, but without prioritizing teamwork and pulling together, you will not reach your effectiveness potential. Now, as I mentioned, these 4 skills and habits should constantly be something that you apply in every level of leadership. But as a Christian businessman, you have some unique skills, unique advantage, unique history, things that you bring to your leadership that maybe others don't bring. And so here are some of the most valuable, unique advantages that you bring as an effective leader. And that is your ability to help others find joy. We all have the ability to help others find joy in serving, but as a Christian businessman, a leader, when you serve with joy, the impact that it has on the others around you, knowing that, hey, like this is maybe you're a successful person, maybe people look up to you, but when you're able to serve with that joy, you're going to demonstrate, you're actually going to communicate to people, especially let's say younger men, you're going to communicate to them that joy and fulfillment come from God. Not necessarily work alone, not necessarily success, finances, which are all great things, but serving with joy actually will teach people, especially younger men, what actually matters, what values, what is it that we should value. It's one thing to see maybe a professional minister serve with joy, but when others see other professionals in the world serve with joy, with the same joy, that is the impact that you could make, an advantage that you have in making in others' lives that many don't have. So in summary, Here are the leadership habits and skills to focus on at every stage of serving and leading. It's one, develop and maintain the right attitude. Don't think of yourself as a volunteer. Think of yourself as a leader, no matter what level that you're at. Number two, find and own your spot. Find that spot that you could add value, but also be cautious in not being too selfish about it and finding something you just enjoy. But find the area that actually you can make an impact. Number three, own the vision for long-term success, long-term progress in what you're doing and producing the most fruit possible. Own the vision of the leadership of the whole church. And last but not least, learn how to pull and win together. You'll do more, you'll make more of an impact, and ultimately you'll have more joy, and others will have more joy as they serve and lead with you at church. And remember that you, Christian businessmen like you, they have unique advantages as a leader, as being a leader out in the world, and then being willing to humble and to serve with joy as a leader within your church, within your organization. That's an advantage that people, especially ones that are younger than you, will be able to learn more from you than maybe from anyone else. But if you're thinking to yourself that, one way that you could become a better, more effective leader in your church is to grow closer to God, then watch this video right here where I talk about how Christian businessmen like yourself can actually use their work and business lives to grow closer to God.